Good day, everyone. Happy New Year, another day, another chance for us to learn. So, now we are going to talk about the Unit 4 Assessment Strategies for Early Childhood Science, specifically in Lesson 1 Assessing Learning in Science. So, before that, let me introduce myself. I am Sheila May Hernado from BSED 3-9, and I am the reporter of this topic. So, the objective of this lesson is that you will be able to first discuss assessment in science, identify the ways of planning for assessment in science, enumerate the characteristic of an effective assessment, and lastly, compare assessment tools used in kindergarten classrooms. So, introduction. Young children are competent in performing a variety of cognitive skills. So, no, we all know that children are very curious. They are very eager to learn since mo na ang time nga nag-develop pa sila, nag-observe, no, especially in science. So, which is essential foundation in learning science concept. So it is very important nga ang bata kay kana active kay siya in the learning. So their curiosity could lead to asking questions and many predictions. In making predictions about the different things in their environment. So in our past lesson, 'di ba, we talk about the curiosity of children nga kanang especially in kindergarten nga hilig kayo sila moask og mga questions sa ilang mga igsuon, sa ilang teachers, sa ilang parents kay lagi curious sila sa mga panghitabo sa world. And also they are mao sa na ang mga bata kay kuan kay sila kanang if nakabantay ta may kay sila mobuhat og mga prediction, di ba? Kusog kay sila mo predict sa mga panghitabo sa environment. So, teachers of young children need to identify the progress of children in science through the use of various assessment tool. So, in the teaching learning process, it is very important nga naagi tay assessment. 'Di ba? Because mao na ang way para ma-identify nato ang progress sa usa ka bata, especially in learning science. So the experiences that are provided to young children to learn science concept play an important role in the development of their cognitive ability. So as a future teacher no dapat gyud tagaan nato sila og daghang mga activity all about science, connected sa science para kanang daghan sila og experiences nga kanang makadevelop sa ilang cognitive ability. So, they are given opportunity to process information and apply strategy in solving and doing things. So, through sa mga assessment, 'di ba? Through assessment kay kanang maka-process sila og information, then maka-apply sila og mga strategy on how to solve that specific problem or that specific kanang activity nga atong ihatag. So, kana 'di ba through that kay maka-develop na sa ilahang cognitive skills. So, what is assessment? So, unsa man jud ang assessment? So, now we are going to talk or define all about assessment. According to Snow and Van Hermel 2008, assessment is a significant part of the teaching and learning process. It is a tool used to gather and provide educator, parents, and other stakeholders with critical information about the child's development and growth. There are different types of assessment that teacher can use so that they can identify the progress of child in different domain. The classroom assessment. So classroom assessment is an integral part of science instruction. Jablon Dobro and Meller 2007 added that assessment is a critical part of a high-quality early childhood program. The primary purpose of assessment is not only to evaluate and classify children's performance but to inform teaching and improve learning, according to Tepid Order Number 42, Series 2017, and also to monitor the child's progress in achieving learning outcome at the end of the grade level or course of study. So, classroom assessment. So, classroom assessment, no, according sa akong na-search, is that it is something all teachers do as a part of their responsibility for enhancing students' learning and motivation, documenting students' performance, and reporting results for accountability purposes. So what I have learned or remember sa mga previous lesson is that in early childhood setting, ang common assessment tool is kanang observations, kanang checklist, and rating scale, and portfolio. That is very, mo na murag maingon nato nga common assessment sa kanang early childhood. So, the primary purpose of assessment is not only to evaluate and classify children's performance. So, dili lang daw ang purpose sa assessment kay mo determine sa uh, development and performance sa bata, but also to inform teaching and improve learning. So, ara na to mahibaw-an pod if how effective ang mga teaching strategy or method nga gigamit sa mga teacher, 'di ba? Through assessment ara na to ma-identify. And also to improve learning. So according sa akong na search pod, so is that assessment is to improve the quality of future performances. So unlike sa evaluation, no, ang evaluation is to determine the quality of the present performances. So nganong future performances? So through assessment kay assessment nag-provide na siya og mga helpful feedback sa mga learning sa kanang students and also adjust their teaching to address the students' need. 'Di ba? Through assessment ara na to mahibaw-an if naa ba na learn ang bata, if unsa ka effective ang kanang if unsa ka effective ang teaching method nga gigamit sa teacher. So and also assessment kay mao na ang kanang mumuhatag og feedback og positive feedback. So if kamantay mo if nakay buhaton then tagaan kag feedback, then in the next nimo activity or next nimo nga buhaton, di ba kibaw na kaon sa imong buhaton, it is because nahatagan na ka og feedback, positive feedback kung kung asa ka dapit na sayop or unsa imong kailangan kanang unsa imong kailangan improve para sa next nimo nga performance is kuan na siya perfect na siya or nindot na siya or mas better siya sa imong previous nga performance. Assessment is an ongoing process that the teacher should do in the science classroom. So, assessment for learning is ongoing assessment that allows teachers to monitor students on a day-to-day basis and modify their teaching basis on what the student needs to be successful. Next is that to assess the student's science knowledge, the teacher can ask questions, observe engagement in a different learning activity and processes, and examine the pupil's work in progress. So I know no it is very understandable, 'di ba? That kanang ang teacher kay mag-ask og mga question kay para ma-engage ang mga ma-engage ang participation sa classroom, 'di ba? Para ma-clarify ang mga kanang question sa mga bata or ma-answer ang ilang mga question. And also, para sa akong giingon ganina that observation and documenting a child's work can be a great help for teacher at the kindergarten level. So, 'di ba, ang observation og documentation that is very important in the early childhood setting. 'Di ba kay mao nay silbi tracker sa ilahang mga kanang assessment or sa ilahang development, mo ang tracker sa ilang development. They can also engage student in peer assessment and self-assessment activity. So, 'di ba, pwede pod ang kanang group assessment, 'di ba, by group nga mga activity and also individual activity para ma-monitor gyud ang ilahang development. So the result of the assessment can be used as a determinant in how science classroom will look like. Further, it can be a basis for adjustment and process and proper intervention. The information gathered can be used in planning appropriate and effective science curriculum for the kindergarten level. So ang results sa assessment nga gibuhat sa teacher can be a basis kung unsaon niya pag-adjust o paghatag og proper intervention. So moreover, the assessment record is a great tool to share with parents so that they can follow their child's progress and help them identify ways on how they can assess the learning at home. So, 'di ba? Para tong gingon ganina that observation and documentation is very important because that serves as the assessment record para mahibaw-on sa mga parents ang progress ilang bata. Kung para makibaw pod sila if asa sila mo assess sa bata, if asa sila mo assess sa learning sa bata ngadto sa ilahang balay. So now let's talk about the importance of assessment. So first is that assessment is an important tool that provide educator and parents with important information about the child's progress, development, and growth. In light of this, the assessment can identify children who needs additional support and intervention. Diba? Para sa kung giingon kanina that assessment will monitor the child's progress, development, and growth. Through assessment, pod kay ma-identify nato if need ba ang bata og additional support and kung unsa nga intervention ang buhaton para masuportaan ang learning sa bata. Next is that to provide the records of child's growth in various developmental domain. Diba? What are those developmental domain? Physical, social, emotional, and cognitive. Diba? Through assessment kay makahatag pud siya og kanang record sa kanang growth sa bata. So when we say growth, mao na ang physical nga kanang physical changes, 'di ba? The process of increasing the physical size para sa kung giingon ganina pod that the assessment is very important because it provides assessment record para makaibaw ta if na-improve ba ang bata sa ilahang learning process. Next is the provide information that can help teachers' decision on kind of approaches to be used in teaching science. I already talked also about this that it is very important, so that assessment is very important because it will test or it will monitor the effectiveness of the teaching approach nga gigamit sa mga teachers. So number 4, help teacher to prepare and plan an individualized instruction for a particular child or a group of children that have the same attributes. So through assessment, ara ma-identify sa mga teacher if kana nga particular child or group of children is nagneed ba sila og additional assessment or additional support sa ilahang learning, 'di ba? Example na bata nga naglisod sa sa kanang parts of the body, 'di ba? Then through assessment kay gamay siyang mga scores or low ang iyang performances. So with that kanang mahatagan siya og sakto nga kanang support sa teacher through. So with that pag makakita ang teacher nga low siya sa iyang performances, then gamay siya mga scores, then kana matagaan siya og individualized instruction, mahatagan siya og additional support sa teacher para mas ma-learn gyud niya ang kana nga topic. Number 5 is to identify the strength and weaknesses of the program and how to adjust the program according to the demand of the society and to address the needs of the children. Through assessment, ara na tumibaw-an ang strength and weaknesses sa usa ka program. Then through that kay makaibaw ta if asa ta dapit mo adjust and asa o unsa nga dapat intervention ang atong ihatag sa mga bata para ma-address ang kanang needs sa mga bata. Lastly is that to provide a common ground for both teacher and parents to collaborate to support the learning of the children. So, di ba, mo kung giingon that assessment na atay gitawag nga assessment record para mahibaw-an sa teacher o parents kung asa dapit ang bata naglisod or asa siya dapit kailangan og additional support, and also kung asa pod siya ni excel, di ba, para masuportahan gyud ang learning sa usa ka bata or the children. So, since we all know what assessment is, the classroom assessment, and the importance of assessment, now let's talk about planning for assessment. Since assessment is an important part of the teaching and learning process, the teacher should include the planning of assessment at the beginning of the course. Assessment, task, or method, the teacher should consider the following. So first is the area that needs to assess. Kung diba sa teacher dapat kibawta if asa ta dapit mo assess sa mga learning sa usa ka bata. Then next is the purpose of assessment. Kung unsay purpose nganong mohatag ta ng assessment. Number 3, the use of collective assessment information. That is very important, no? Diba? Okay, ara man nato mahibaw-an kung ara nato mahibaw-an ang progress sa usa ka bata. Then 4 is the receiver of the assessment information. So last is that the assessment activity that allow children to demonstrate their learning in authentic ways. So, katong 5 mauto ang kailangan i-consider sa usa ka teacher in planning the assessment. So now let's talk about the attributes of an effective assessment. Following are the attributes of an effective assessment in science according to Manitoba Education and Youth 2003 page 42 to 46. So first is that effective assessment is congruent with instruction and is integral to it. Number two, effective assessment is based on authentic tasks and meaningful science learning process and context. Number three, effective assessment is a collaborative process involving students. Number four, effective assessment focus on what students have learned and what they can do. Number five is that effective assessment is ongoing and continuous. So those are the attributes of an effective assessment. So that's all for my topic no. So I hope nga naka-learn mo kung unsa jud ang assessment, kung unsa ka importante ang assessment for us, especially sa ato ang future teacher, and also kanang katong mga unsay mga i-consider sa teacher in planning the assessment, and the attributes of the kanang effective assessment. So that's all. Thank you.